The Harlem Renaissance in New York, everybody's talked about as these great artists. But obviously, after New York City, this was the biggest group of artists working in the nation at the time.
This Renaissance was going on all over at the same time. It was not just New York. While they just mentioned Harlem, the same thing was happening in Chicago. You had William Edward Scott and Archibald Motley were at the height of their works being shown. And that was happening right here in Chicago at the same time.
In this gallery, basically, we work with historical works. Obviously, because of immigration up to the city, throughout the teens and 20s, there's a large group of African Americans that came here. And of course, when they got to the city, becoming part of the urban reality, many people started to express themselves in all the different arts. The earliest artists in the beginning of the century, people like William Harper, who went to Europe and was respected very well as a fine painter. People like William Edward Scott, who again was a wonderful painter early on. One artist, James Bolivar Needham, who never sold a painting, but somehow painted a ton of paintings. The dean of Chicago painting basically is always thought of as Archibald Motley, part of the Ashcan scene, who really directed the attention from the artists of making pretty paintings for your average American, to really showing what's happening in the cities, in the urban reality at the beginning of the 20th century.
Once I built a railroad, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime?
During the Roosevelt administration, this was the period of the Great Depression. And this was in the 30s. They initiated the Works Progress Administration, which was organized by the government to make jobs, to give jobs for people who had no jobs. It even reached down to the artists. The Southside Community Arts Center opened in 1941, 38th in Michigan. I was one of the founders. You had Charles White, Elzir Cortor, all of the names of any African-American artist who amounted to anything passed through that building. Elizabeth Catlett, I have great respect for her work. And that's how I got into printmaking, linoleum block printing and all. And that's why, even today, even though I work in many mediums, I decided that I want to be remembered as a printmaker. I think prints are for the people. I want to share my work with the common people. I don't care about being in the academies. See, I'm more interested in my work being in the home of a working person.
This was a great movement of art that happened specifically in the city of Chicago. Should a white art dealer be doing it before a black art dealer? I think I'd probably be happier in a certain sense, as mercenary as I am, if a black art dealer were doing it. But up to this point, it hasn't been done. It was open for me to do it. There have been some dealers who've had some good dealers, African-American art dealers who've had some nice works, like Susan Woodson on the South Side.
It's going to bring attention to black art. My little gallery could never do that. But it's a big thing to go down to a white gallery and have them shining, our pieces just jumping out at the beauty, just jumping out at us, wondering why we couldn't sell it in the early periods. Maybe that this is time for us to, for them to open the doors and let us come into their galleries, and we turn around and sell their work. The young blacks are doing all right. If they go down to Rob's place, they will walk out with pride of seeing that work up there. The money's not going to come to the black community. We're letting white people sell us black art. Sell us black art. Yes, they are. They're going down to buy that art, and that's great. They can walk in there and feel proud, feel very proud of themselves that they're represented for once. Downtown. We weren't even allowed to come downtown in those days when I came along.
This is really what all galleries should be concerned with. I mean, galleries, I think, should be showing the works of all segments of the people, of the community, whether they're black, white, red, brown, or yellow. Color of skin, that's really unimportant, but artists are artists, and we are universal, so we work universally.